get when you cross a granny square with festival vibes. A bag that's too cute not to wear, that's what. This is the Dahlia Festival Bag. It's bright, it's bold, and it's made entirely from granny squares. Perfect for launching today on Granny Square Day. These granny squares are the very same ones that were featured in my granny plant pot cover pattern. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. With just 4 textured floral squares, as you can see, an easy construction method and an added strap. You've got yourself the perfect hands-free accessory for summer craft fairs, festivals, picnics, or just taking out for a little walk. I use US crochet turns throughout this pattern, so keep that in mind. Okay, so the pattern features, as I said, 4 granny squares. It's also got a zip, and I have lined it with this lovely like wadding here. So what are you going to need? Obviously, you're going to need a strap. The strap I used was 12mm thick and 120 centimeters long, but you can use any strap. You can also crochet your own strap if you like. So when you get to this point, you'll just want to join on your yarn here and crochet about 3 stitches wide for as long as you want your strap to be. You'll need yarn and a hook. Obviously, I'll talk about that in a moment. You'll also need a tapestry needle for working in your ends, scissors, and a zip. So mine is 20 centimeters long. As you can see, I've got a bit of a gap, so if you want yours longer, you can go up to about 30 centimeters long, 12 inches, to fit in your space. Obviously, that's assuming that you're using the same size yarn and hook as me and meeting the gauge, which brings us onto the gauge. So 3 rounds, which is 1, 2, 3, of the granny square makes a square that is 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters square. So you want to try and match that if you want your bag to be the same size as mine, which is 13.5 inches wide and 4.5 inches tall, or 34.5 centimeters and 11.5 centimeters tall. Obviously, if you want a different size bag, feel free to play around with yarn and the hook sizes. So I think that's it. Let's dive in and make our bag, shall we? Let's start by making 4 of these lovely granny squares. Now you can use any yarn that you like. A DK yarn is the best weight, but worsted weight would also work well. It will just make a smaller bag for you, a larger bag for you. Sport weight would make a smaller bag. I used Dilly Dally, which is a DK weight, and you get 109 yards per 50 grams. This is really gorgeous yarn. It's a new yarn from We Crochet, and it's 70% cotton, 20% bamboo, and 10% hemp. So it makes it really nice and soft. It's hand washable, but it's a bag, so you're not going to be washing it that much. The colours I'm using are Bracken. I'm sure I saw that somewhere. Bracken, yep. Serrano on the front, and Cornflower. Those 3 colours. But obviously you can use whatever colours you like. I'm going to start with the red for the centre point of the flower motif, granny square, should I say. Okay, so if you're using a DK weight like me, you'll want to use a 5mm hook. Otherwise, work out what hook is best for you. And we start with a magic ring. So we're going to make a loop, insert our hook, grab the yarn, and just arrange the yarn how you like it, and chain 1 to secure. Okay, we're going to start with a stacked double crochet. So insert your hook into the loop, grab the yarn and pull through, grab yarn over and pull through 2 to create a single crochet. Then we're going to go into the side of that single crochet here, if you can get in. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to work 11 more double crochets into this ring. Okay, so yarn over, insert into the ring, grab a loop and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. and we'll just repeat that all the way around. Okay, so when you get to the end, you're going to tighten your magic ring, so pull on that string to fully tighten it, and then we're going to join with an invisible join. You can use a slip stitch join if you prefer, but I prefer a slip stitch join. So we pause at that point and cut our yarn, pull the yarn through and grab yourself a needle, thread this end onto the needle, and then you're going to, looking at your circle, you're going to go into that, around that first loop in there and pull that through. And you want it to be about the same length as all the rest of the stitches, and then we're going to work down, so we're going to go down into the middle of that last stitch there, if you can see that, down there, and pull that through, and then pull everything so that it tightens up the ring, and you shouldn't be able to tell which is your starting ring using this technique, starting stitch, and then you can just weave in the ends round the back like so, and then we'll move on to round 2. So for round 2 we are using the blue, and we are going to work some long stitches. Okay, so we're going to start, insert your hook into the back loop of any of the stitches and pull through your new yarn, and we're just going to chain to secure it. So we're going to start with a stacked treble crochet this time. Obviously if you prefer you can use chains, so for this you would chain 4 instead, but we do a single crochet and we go into the side and another single crochet, and then into the side again and another single crochet. So we've got 3 single crochets all stacked on top of each other like that. Okay, and then we're going to do a treble crochet 2 together to make a cluster. So wrap your yarn around your hook twice, insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we stop. We've got 2 loops still on our hook, yarn over twice again, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we yarn over and pull through all 3. Then we're going to do a chain 2. Then we're going to move on to the next stitch. We're working in the back loops all the way around. So this time we're going to do a treble crochet 3 together. So this is what we created here, but with chains instead, or the stacked treble crochet instead of the first stitch. But now we can use our trebles throughout. So yarn over twice, insert into the back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice again, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over twice again, insert into the stitch again, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we've got 4 loops on our hook, and we're just going to yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat that all the way around into every stitch. So we do a chain 2 and then we do our treble crochet 3 together all the way around, and we finish with a chain 2 and a slip stitch into the final stitch to fasten off, into the first stitch, sorry, to fasten off. Okay, let's move on to the third round now, which I'm using the green for. we're going to join our yarn into any of the chain 2 spaces. So just pull through a loop, and as before I'm going to be using the stacked double crochet, but if you prefer you can just chain 3. So I do a single crochet, then I go into the side, oops, yarn over and pull through, oops, dear. Okay, so then we're going to work 2 more double crochets into that stitch, into that chain 2 space should I say, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. And this is turning our flower into a square now, and it's also helps create the petals, kind of separates them out with the stitches. Oh dear. Right, and then we get to the corner. So in the corner we do 3 treble crochets, so yarn over twice again, yarn over twice, insert in, grab a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so once you've done your 3 treble crochets, then you are going to do chain 2, which creates our corner, and then 3 more treble crochets into that same corner space. Okay, and that is our repeat. So we go work around, working in the chain 2 spaces, and we work 2 chain 2 spaces with 3 double crochets in each, and then we work 1 chain 2 space with 3 treble crochets, chain 2, 3 treble crochets, all in that chain 2 space. Okay, so I'm back onto my double crochets now, and I'm just going to carry on working that around, and I will see you when you have finished the round. And then we are on to assembly already. Obviously when you get to the end of the round, you need to join to your first stitch to finish. I like to use the invisible join that I showed you at the end of round 1 for this round, just to make sure that it's really nice and clean finish all the way around. Okay, I've finished all my squares now, so we are on to the assembly. So I'm just going to show you how that they're going to be laid out. So that's going to be the back, that's the front one, and then these ones are going to be folded into a triangle like this. So half is the front and half is the back, and that is going to be your bag shape. I've also found a zip which I think will work quite well, and I'm going to add that on at the end. So for the next stage, I think I'm going to use the red to do the seams, and I'm going to do a I think I might use the decisions. I might use the green for the seams so that you can't see them, and then possibly use the red or the blue for a top border. Maybe the blue if we're using the blue zip. Anyway, let's do the seams first. We're going to use a slip stitch seam through the back loops only. So we'll start by joining one of these together. So we want to get our squares so that they are right sides together. So the easiest thing to do is just to flop one of them over like that, so the right sides are on the inside, and then you're gonna grab your yarn and your hook, and let's go. So we're going to join our yarn into, so remember we did 2 chains in the corner, So we're going to join into the one of them, the one nearest this top edge. And we're just going to go through the loop that is at the top as well. So just through one loop. So we're going to work through one loop of each side piece. So just join that on for now with a chain. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work through the loop that is nearest to us on this panel and the loop that's furthest away from us on the other panel with the corresponding stitches. So insert your hook through both of them like that, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, including that very first one. Okay, and then we'll move on to the actual stitches. So you've got, it's more clearer, the loops that you've got. So into the loop that's nearest you with that one, and the loop that's furthest away on the furthest away panel, if that makes sense. And we're just going to carry on across like that with the two outer stitches, just going through both. Keep it really nice and loose, because otherwise your seams are going to end up puckered. So I love how you guys are coming along for my design decisions. It's good fun. We're going to need to add a lining for this pattern as well. So a fabric lining is best, because otherwise things are going to fall out through the holes. But I'll briefly show you how to do that in a moment, when we've got it all joined together, if I don't run out of time. Okay, so I got to the last one, and we just got to go through that last chain, just the top chain. Okay, and then you can open it up and have a look, and you see it creates this lovely feature of a stitch. Okay, so let me just take my hook out, and we can carry on and finish all of the seaming. So you're just going to need to make sure the ones that you seam are the right seams to seam, if that makes sense. So you're going to want to seam this one to this one along the bottom. Ooh, along the bottom here. You're going to want to seam this one together, and then you want to do the other side. So you want to seam the back piece to the back piece, but just make sure every time that your right sides are facing into each other, and you will be fine. And I will see you when you've seamed everything together. Okay, so there we have our bag shape. I think you can just about see it there. So that's the basic bag shape. What we're going to do now is we're going to add some more rows along the top, and you can really add as many as you want at this point. I'm probably only going to add a couple of rows, so it's going to be like a sling bag, like a old style bum bag, but people wear them like crossbody these days. So I'm just going to join my yarn. It doesn't actually matter anywhere you like. It'll probably end up being on the back, but join in your yarn through both loops for the first row, and after that we'll do back loop for a couple of rows to make a nice finishing border. So single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're just going to single crochet across until we get to a join. Okay, so now that we've got to the join, you can see they kind of bow in a little bit. So to kind of accommodate that, we're going to do a half double crochet into the chain 2 space, a half double crochet into the seam, which might be tough to get into, but with a little wiggle and a pointy hook you'll be fine. And then a half double crochet into the next chain 2 space. Okay, Now if you feel like you need more stitches in those spaces, you can add an extra half double crochet into the chain 2 space, but otherwise just carry on. So then we carry on doing single crochet all the way around. When you get back to the beginning, you're going to do a slip stitch to join into the first stitch, and then you're going to do another 2 rows or more of single crochet in the back loop only. So just work into the back loops. I'm going to do 2 rows, I think. I'm going to see what it looks like when I've done 2 rows, but I'm going to start with 2 rows. So do that and see what you think, and then once you are happy with the height of your bag, fasten off, and then I'll show you how to make a lining and add a zip. So there we've got it. It looks pretty cool, I think. I've done so I did 3 rounds of the edging like I said I was going to, and now we need to do the lining. So you need some fabric for the lining, and what I've got is this quilted fabric, but by no means do you need to use the quilted fabric at all, because this is just what I've got available to me right now, so that kind of works for me. So what we're going to do, I'll zoom out a little bit so that you can see. So we're going to lay our fabric down double. So however you want to do it to minimize wastage, lay it down double. And what you want to do is you want to cut around your bag shape, but leave an edging, so leave that for your seam allowance. Okay, so it's about 1 centimetre, ½ inch seam allowance. I think that fits quite nicely on there like that. So draw around it and then cut it out. So you'll have 2 pieces like this now, and now we're going to attach the zip. Now this can be tricky, and if you don't know how to attach a zip, I would go and look at a separate YouTube tutorial for that, but essentially we're going to be working on the wrong side, because you want the right side to be showing inside your bag, right? So what we need to do is we need to attach the zip so it is, so remember this seam allowance we allowed, so you're going to fold that down and press it like so, and then you're going to pin it to your zip and sew it on like that. Okay, so go through 2 layers of your fabric and the 1 layer of your zip on each side. So it's going to look like, 1 second, like this. Okay, so we sew that together like that all the way across, and then you can sew your 2 parts together again with the wrong sides, so the right side's facing into the middle, the wrong side's showing. So you're going to then, once you put your zip in, then you're going to sew around here, all the way around, all the way around. You also want to sew these last little bits to close up your zip if you haven't done that when you put your zip in. Okay, so you don't want any space between your zip. And then the final thing that needs to be done is to press any seams so that they're out the way, press them open. You can tack them down if they are causing you problems, but they shouldn't do on a small bag like this. Pop your lining into your bag, and then you're going to want to get some thread, or you can use your yarn if it's not too thick, if it will go through your fabric, or just use some sewing thread and tack right close to where the zip is to join your bag to your lining. Okay, really as close as you possibly can, so that your lining isn't showing out the top. And then one more step, you need to add a handle. So you can crochet a handle, of course, but I've got this leather handle, with these little D-rings on. So I'm just going to sew those on with some yarn onto my bag at the end to finish. Okay, and that should be everything. Okay, so I have made my little lining pouch now, and I've got this sewn in the zip. I've also tacked up my edges all around the sides so that it's easier to put it into the bag and they don't get in the way. So there we go, I've popped it into the bag, and the next step now is to tack along the top here to get the zip tacked up like that. So I'm going to just tack that along really close here, and then what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab my crochet hook and my red yarn, and I'm going to do a little bit here to close that off and cover that up. So I will, and also join the strap on, so I'll show you that in a minute. I just want to show you now the finishing edge. So this is what I've done on this side, and I've joined on the clasp for the strap as well in that maneuver. So I'm just going to show you how to do it on the other side. So as you can see, I've sewn on the zip in the middle. So I just used a red thread, you can see under there, to sew it on as close as possible to the zip. Oh, sorry, my hand's in the way. As close as possible to the zip. And now we're going to do, oh, sorry, enclose this end, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our yarn, still using the same colour. Obviously you can use whatever colour you like. And we're going to join the yarn. You want to find the stitch that's going to cover up the end of the zip, but not going to cover the bit that you need to grab. So for me, it's going to be into this stitch, and we're going to work into the back loop again. So join on your yarn with a chain one. And then we're going to work single crochet. Whoops. What have I done there? I had done it right to start with. So we're going to work a single crochet into that back loop of the first stitch. Oh, sorry, that's making a clunky noise. That's made it worse. And then into each stitch in the back loops. Oops. Going all the way around. What you want to do though is when you get to the end, that's when you want to join on your clasp. I joined it into 2 stitches, but you can join it into as many or as few as you like, depending on what your clasp looks like. So when you get near the end, you want to check which stitches you want to work into. So I think I need to do one more in there. Okay, and then we're going to work the clasp around. So I'll just grab the other clasp here. D-ring, I think they might be called actually. Don't know the technical term for it. So this is a bit fiddly and you have to work out what works best for you, but how I did it, if I can remember, was when you grab the yarn, you're grabbing it through. So you put your hook into the clasp, grab your yarn and pull it through, oops, through the stitch, and then finish your single crochet. And again, in there, grab the yarn through the loop and to the stitch, and then finish your single crochet. Okay, so do that for as many as you want, and then continue all the way around the rest of the opening until you get to back to the stitch that's opposite. Gosh, it's making lots of noises on the desk. And then what I did was I secured the clasp again using some sewing thread into the lining, and what that does is it just means that it's not pulling on the thread. So here, if you just left it like that, that would really pull up. If you see on the other side, it's really secure and doesn't pull at all, and that's because I've sewed through the other side. Okay, and I'll just show you how to do that in a second. So we're going to finish off going, gosh, it makes such a noise, sorry, into these stitches. I think that's the last one there. And when we're going to leave that like that and grab our red thread again. And I don't really need to show you this, but essentially what you're going to be doing is lining up your lining nice, so it's nice and flat. Fold it in again, because mine's jumped out, and then you're just going to sew that onto there, going round and round and round and round. Okay, and then when you've done that, we're just going to do a slip stitch join to join these two together. Okay, so to do that, you're just going to insert your hook into the back loop of the stitch on that side, and then keeping your yarn at the bottom into the back loop on the other side, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops, and then we do the same into that one, into that one, making sure you go in the same direction every time, and you'll end up with a nice neat seam. It's a bit fiddly, but just take your time on it and continue like that. And that's it really. Just finish off those last few bits, weave in any ends, and your bag will be just about finished. Just clip on your strap and you'll be ready to go, whether it's to a festival or a party or just to the beach or for a walk. This bag is really versatile and so fun to make too. And there you have it, all finished off. I think it looks great with the strap added on, and time to take it out for a spin, I think. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope to see you again soon for another tutorial from Concrete Gems Crochet. All the pattern description and everything are in the description below, if you want to get the pattern and make your own. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.